Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here. Welcome back to another video for Lost Ark. And in this one, I want to talk about gear honing, the way in which you upgrade your gear to upgrade your item level, thus giving you access to new and higher tier endgame activities. You should be familiar with the concept of item level already from playing throughout the game, since even early game dungeons on the road from 1 to 50 still have item level requirements. But this becomes increasingly more relevant when you get to endgame, since of course that is one of the main gates for doing higher tier content. So therein lies the reason behind honing gear, and of course one of your main motivations for doing endgame content. You do the content, you get the resources, you use the resource to upgrade the gear, use the higher tier gear to go and do higher tier content, get more materials, and you continue this cycle till you become super powerful and you can eventually do the highest tier content in the game. It's going to take you a long time to get there, it's a very long process, but in this video I want to go over the honing basics, because if you have just hit level 50 and you want to know what you should be doing, how you should be upgrading, then this guide is for you. So if you do enjoy this, you do find this helpful, a like would be super appreciated. Any questions you have, by all means drop them in the comments down below. And of course, if you are enjoying Lost Ark and you want to know more about the end game, make sure you stick around, make sure you subscribe, because we're doing tons of content and we will be talking about absolutely everything in time. So to begin with, first things first, how do you unlock gear honing? Well, surprise, surprise, you're going to need to be level 50 and have reached Vern Castle. In the very same way that you unlock the Chaos Dungeons, which is get to Vern Castle, follow the blue story missions to the point where you unlock Chaos Dungeons. Straight after that, you also unlock gear honing. Now, in order to hone gear, you then want to turn your attention to this portion of the map. You go over here, you speak to this NPC, and this is where you need to do it. However, in order to hone your gear, firstly, you need a gear set, because the armor you would have obtained up until now, just simply by playing throughout the campaign, is most likely not something that you can hone, unless of course you have gone to Shushire already. But the items you organically obtain throughout the campaign are not the items that you will hone. For that, you're going to need an endgame armor set. Now, there are two ways you can go about doing this one. There is a quest line you can do where you sail to Shushire and you complete that, and it will give you a full set of gear at item level 302, completely for free. However, I didn't do that. Instead, I turned my attention straight away to Chaos Dungeons, because at this point in the game, you're already high enough level to do your first Chaos Dungeon, and not only will you get gear pieces in the process, you'll also get the materials you need for honing. So in my opinion, while it's not necessarily guaranteed to give you a full armor set because you could get repeat drops, it's sort of like kill two birds with one stone, and you're already in Vern, you don't have to go anywhere, you might as well do it. Either way, your next step is to get a full armor set. You will know if your gear can be honed because when you go to this NPC and you go to the actual honing option, if some of your items do not show up in the available honing list, it simply means those items are not appropriate, so you need to replace them. However, on top of that, in order to hone, you're also going to need some materials. So those materials include things like Harmony Shards, Destruction Stone Fragments, Harmony Leap Stones, and Guardian Stone Fragments. All of these can be obtained from endgame activities. The first one you'll of course dive into are Chaos Dungeons, so doing these are of course a great way to farm these materials. You can also get them from doing Guardian Raids, you can get them from Abyssal Dungeons, from opening the chest at the end. Admittedly, at this stage, if you're just starting your honing journey, you probably won't be in a position to do Abyssal Dungeons just yet, but they do also come from there. You can also get them from daily quests like Una's Tasks. If you get repeat items of endgame gear and you dismantle those, they too will give you those resources, and you can even get small quantities of them from the cash shop from Mari's secret shop if you happen to have a few spare gems. But generally speaking, these just come from pretty much all endgame activities in some capacity, and you're going to need these in large quantities, so this of course is going to be one of the things you will farm on a regular basis because you will of course go through this. So, assuming you have a gear set that can be honed and the right materials, now you turn your attention to this NPC and you open up the menu. You begin by selecting an item you want, and you then go and press the upgrade button. You then need a combination of Harmony Shards and also Silver in order to begin the upgrade. You press the upgrade button, and it will then fill up to 100%. At this point, you then press the gear honing button. Keep in mind for this, if you are honing a gear piece, you will need Harmony Leap Stones and Guardian Stone Fragments. Meanwhile, if you're doing weapons, this will be Harmony Leap Stones and Destruction Stone Fragments. As your gear gets to much higher levels, these will of course change and you'll have the higher versions of these materials, but for the purposes of this video, let's keep things simple. Assuming you have sufficient materials down here, you can then press the gear honing button, and it'll then take you to the next page. Now, for your first few levels, you won't need to do anything more than simply press the gear honing button. As you get your gear to higher levels, as you get kind of level 6 and above, the success rate percentage will go down. So as you can see right now, it's 100%. As that begins to drop later on, you can use these items here, Star's Breach, which again come from a variety of different locations, and that can basically increase the success rates. Early on, you don't really need to, even when it starts dropping down to 90%, that's a pretty good chance. If you get unlucky, then I apologize. But as you get later on and things start getting considerably higher, then you are going to want to be using this to make sure that your honing doesn't fail. But once you've done that, you can now see your gear piece has raised a level. This will also have gone up in item level, and you now start doing this for all of your other gear pieces. And this effectively is your honing journey. You go out, do your endgame activities, you come back, you equip your new powerful gear, you hone it up, you level it up, and you then use those increased levels to boost your item level higher. That then gives you access to higher tier endgame content, which you can then go to get better gear, and you repeat the cycle. However, one more important thing to note is that if you hone an item, let's say for argument's sake up to level 5 or 6, and then you get a new piece of armor that drops that is better than that, do not dispose of your old honed gear, because you can use the gear transfer system to move those levels over to the new piece, so definitely do not throw them away because that is a waste of valuable materials. In this situation, you can see that I have a level 5 sword and I want to transfer that to another sword which just has some slightly better stats. So you press the gear transfer button and you begin by selecting the item that you want to transfer things to, so ideally your new item, and you then select the item that has been leveled up that you want to move those levels over. You then pay the appropriate cost. Again, once this gets to rarer gear with high levels, this cost will go up. But in doing so, this will then consume the old item, put it into the new item, so you now have the new, better item at the previous level. So again, as you can now see, had I then just simply thrown away that level 5 item, I would have wasted all of those shards that I had previously spent and earned, and I would have to start again from level 1. Meanwhile now, I can take the item and boost it straight up to level 5. So do make sure you're using the gear transfer system. But that, my friends, is pretty much it. That's a quick rundown on gear honing. That is one of the things you'll be doing towards endgame in order to boost your item level and access new endgame content. Speaking of endgame content, if you guys want a little breakdown on what Guardian raids are, then make sure you check out this video, and of course keep it locked because we'll be doing more endgame related content very soon.